The movie begins with Sophie and Nolan. Nolan is a food writer in a magazine. And this time, he has been given a new topic, that how people used to collect food. That means he had to write an article on hunting and gathering, in which he would explain this, and he could explain that how difficult this work would be for people at that time. He could write about all this only when he had his own experience. So what was there? He decides to go hunting. But he doesn't know anything about hunting. In this matter, he has come to Sophie's village with Sophie. Sophie's grandpa was a hunter and Sophie was also good at hunting. But 10 years ago, Sophie stopped hunting. The reason for which she tells that when she went to hunt once, she saw in the eyes of the deer. Seeing her innocence, Sophie did not have the courage to kill him. Since that day, he never hunted and never ate non-veg. And today, after many years, she came back for Nolan, because Nolan was her fiancé. She still doesn't want to hunt, but to help Nolan, she calls her childhood friend Kyle. Kyle teaches Nolan to shoot an arrow. Nolan was learning, but to hunt by shooting an arrow, a lot of practice is required. To get out of the house. And he had to complain in the next morning. That's why Kyle teaches him how to shoot a rifle. The day Nolan was about to make good marks. During the practice, Kyle and Nolan had a lot of talks. But Kyle's topic was just one. That Sophie is his childhood friend. She is very important to him. She takes care of him. And Nolan was very upset about this. Because Sophie was his fiancée. And when someone else was talking about him, Sophie, who was meeting Kyle after a long time, also leaves Nolan and starts giving importance to Kyle. And with this, Nolan gets very angry and goes to the room. Sophie noticed his behavior. When she goes after him, Nolan scolds her. Why has Kyle come alone? He could have told his girlfriend. Our trip is getting ruined because of him. Look, Nolan, Kyle has come here because of you. If you don't go to him, what's the point of this trip? Nolan also realized his mistake, so he goes out and apologizes to Sophie. Before he could say anything else, Kyle also came to him. And Nolan left the apartment. Here Kyle told Sophie that he has broken up. His behavior was so sad that he is telling Sophie everything because he likes Sophie, and Nolan was understanding his behavior. Kyle now started to provoke Sophie against Nolan as well. As if Nolan doesn't like Sophie. And by this way, Sophie also started to think about Utpatang. Anyways, it was morning and we saw that Kyle and Nolan were going to the forest alone for hunting. Here Sophie put a bullet in Kyle's pocket, as a tote bag, and then they went to the forest. Now after going a little far, a deer came in front of them. Kyle said to Nolan, "It's a good spot, kill it." Nolan also pointed a gun at the deer. But he couldn't kill him because he was too kind. But Kyle, who already knew how to hunt, he took out an arrow and killed the deer. The deer was dead but not dead. Nolan asked Kyle to shoot another arrow so that all his pain and suffering ends. But Kyle, instead of doing that, he stood far away and shot another deer with his gun. The deer was injured but didn't fall. Shoot the deer. Kyle was very frustrated because of Nolan's noise. Fred goes after Nolan to kill the deer. They are shocked because a wolf was eating the deer. Kyle was used to these things. He stands still. Nolan was scared and he wanted to run away. But Kyle tells him to stand straight. Kyle was trying to pull out a gun from his back while standing straight. But the gun was stuck in his back pocket. Nolan couldn't wait, and he quickly turned around and freed Kyle's gun. And as soon as he did, the wolf attacked him. Kyle shoots the wolf without wasting time. But at that time, the wolf had injured Nolan a lot. There were two more wolves here. One of them shoots Kyle and drives them away. Nolan screams, and now Kyle was calling Kyle. Kyle was shocked to see his condition. He didn't understand what to do. He leaves Nolan here and goes back. As soon as he reached Sophie, he was in a worse condition. Because he didn't understand what to tell Sophie. Sophie asks him, "Where is Nolan?" He answers, "Wolves attacked Nolan. I tried to save him, but the wolves hurt him badly." Sophie's eyes were tearing. She couldn't believe Kyle. She asks Kyle, "Is Nolan alive or dead?" Kyle says, "I don't know. I left him there." Now to save Nolan, she picks up some important things and goes to the forest to save Nolan. Now because Sophie didn't know where did that incident happen with Kyle and Nolan. That's why Kyle goes with him. Until these people reach the point of the forest, they realize that Nolan was not there. It is shown in the flashback. Actually, Nolan himself was walking slowly to save his life, and he came out of there. While riding a bike, Sophie now reaches there too, where these people had hunted a deer. Seeing this deer dead, Sophie thought that Kyle was lying to her. Kyle said that they couldn't hunt. Now Sophie felt that Kyle killed her because of her jealousy. Sophie started shouting at him and asked him, "Where is Nolan? You killed him, right?" He was jealous of her. "And Nolan told me that you and Nolan had a fight with me last night. You killed him, so tell me." After talking so much, Kyle, instead of giving his explanation, he said to Sophie that Nolan is not worth you. Forget him. Leave him. Hearing this, Sophie got mad with anger. She couldn't believe that Kai can be so heartless. In anger, she punches Kai's face and leaves alone to find Nolan. Now, walking in the jungle, she saw the footprints of the same wolves. She thought that this is Nolan's house. After a while, she found Nolan. Nolan was seriously injured. Before she could help Nolan, his own bike was stuck. Bike could have saved Nolan, but Sophie changed the direction of the bike to save Nolan. And his bike crashed from one side. And he got injured. Here Kyle, who was in the jungle, also got attacked by wolves. Wolves were watching him with fear. Kyle immediately took out his rifle to save himself. But he was unlucky that he found out that the rifle didn't have bullets. To save himself, he took out his arrow. But before he could do that, he attacks the wolf. The wolf attacks him badly. On the other hand, Sophie, who fell from the bike, was unconscious. And as soon as she regained consciousness, a wolf was about to attack her, but he quickly took his knife. She was attacking the wolf and she fell down. And she was badly injured. Her hand was completely broken and dead. She had only a bow and arrow to protect herself from these wolves. But because of the broken right hand, she could not fire the bow and arrow. She was thinking that another wolf came in front of her. She was brave and she fired the bow and arrow while straightening her hand. But because of the broken hand, the shot does not seem right and the wolf comes very close to her. Then she picks up an arrow from below and stabs it in the wolf and saves him. She came to the edge of the forest, where she saw Nolan himself coming to her rescue. She picks him up and takes him to her car, which was brought here by Kyle. When they reached the car, they were shocked to see Kyle, because the wolves had eaten him. The wolves had eaten him up to his mouth, and he was already dead. You see, Sophie knows how to cry, but she couldn't stay here because there was no fear of the dangerous crowd. She just throws the fuel can from below, and while spitting the fuel in the car, she takes Nolan in the car and takes him away from here. She takes Nolan in the car and takes him away from here. And so, the curtain falls on this chapter.